What's going on, cowboy? Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a new crypto project in Luxy.io, and we've got the developer, the mind, the CEO, the founder, the guy behind everything. His name is Bradley, and he's going to be grilled up in our hot seat today because we need to figure out, hey, is Luxy a project that we could get into? Is it a scam? Is it going places? Or is it another dud? We're here to find some gems because we're trying to get to our next Bitcoin. I got to mine in 4 months, and I'm trying to help you to yours. If you're new to this channel, my name is Aaron. I'm on a journey to as many Bitcoins as I possibly get, but I am not your financial advisor, okay? I'm a lizard brain, gorilla arm, diamond handed cowboy exploring the wild west of cryptocurrency with a whole bunch of other cowboys. If you want to join us, hit the subscribe button down below or go to cowboysofcrypto.com to be an official member cowboy today. Now, you got to understand, when we're looking around YouTube, the vast wasteland of crypto, projects are coming at us. We need to figure out which ones are the best one. Well, YouTubers tend to be very biased because they're getting paid, unless they're not getting paid, right? Those are the good ones. But if they're getting paid and they don't tell us, they have a biased tendency to like shill a coin, and it might not even be a good project. Now, I think the best way to do your own research is to just ask the developer, ask the founders ourselves. And so in this interview, I will be grilling up Bradley from Luxy and finding out like, hey, what is it that's so special about Luxy? So if you're with me, Bradley from Luxy, welcome to the hot seat.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I was looking forward to this, so let's do this.
Awesome. So Bradley, before we even get into Luxy, I need to understand who you are. Who are you and coming into crypto? What's your background when you first came into crypto?
Yeah, so I learned about Bitcoin back around 2011. And the person that I learned about it from was none other than, the legendary Cliff High. So before he was putting out his crypto reports and all that kind of thing, he was doing his altar reports back in the day. And I happened to be a reader of his work and a listener of his interviews where he had mentioned Bitcoin. So that's how basically I learned about Bitcoin, right? I got more involved in the crypto space, I guess, more around 2014, a few years later, when I really began to recognize the potential and understand it a little better. And then later on, a few years later, I started kind of like getting involved with projects. I've been involved with Syscoin for a while. I'm a board member on the Syscoin Foundation. Right when NFTs were starting to really sort of become popular, which, was earlier this year when they started to really gain traction. Some people came to me that I know and had an idea for, an NFT marketplace project. And we started bouncing ideas off of each other. And that's essentially how Luxy was born. So I function as, I guess, I wear a lot of hats, but I'm referred to as the PR lead for Luxy. You introduced me as the CEO, but I'm not quite there. But nevertheless, I've got a lot of good things to share about the project, and I can dive into some details as well.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's get right into it. Yeah, sorry, I thought you were the CEO. You just look very CEO-esque, you know what I mean? Someone who just, oh, that's the CEO of Luxy. But in any case, let's get right into what is Luxy, what's it about, what's it trying to achieve, all of that.
Yeah, so Luxy is an open and decentralized NFT marketplace. And the focus of Luxy is really on low transaction costs, speed, and the user experience, or what one might call accessibility, right? So looking across sort of the spectrum of different NFT marketplace offerings out there, like your Raribles and your OpenSeas, we noticed a lot lacking, really, honestly. Like they're all good in some areas and then really lacking in other areas, and I don't want to give them too much of a hard time because basically they were out in the front, like, having to do this without retrospect, right? Without retrospection. But there's a lot that can be done to make that whole experience of creating and buying an NFT just really a lot better. And that's where Luxy comes in. So with Rarible, for example, it's decentralized. They're doing pretty good in that aspect for the most part. The user experience is a little kludgy. You know, it's got kind of like that power user feel to it, where you really have to kind of know what's going on to do some fairly simple things. Then on the other side, you've got OpenSea, which has a decent user experience. It's definitely better in that area, in my opinion, than say Rarible, but it's lacking in the decentralization aspect, and that's incredibly important to me and the Luxy team. You know, we want to carry forward those principles that gave blockchain value to begin with, which is disintermediation of value and decentralization. So Julia Hoffman, our UX and UI expert. She comes from a background in physical architecture, as well as in engineering user experience, and her team is absolutely fantastic. They're really great designers. So what we have as far as a marketplace that will be released very soon is pretty cutting edge. It makes the whole experience of buying and selling an NFT just a lot more straightforward, enjoyable. It doesn't cost a lot because we're running it on networks that provide low fees, and it's very fast, and it can provide a lot of the same features that Rarible does. In fact, we're kind of going beyond where they are as far as decentralization, and we're doing some other things as well. And we've also got a forward-looking roadmap. So after our initial release, we'll have some more things coming too, which maybe we can get into that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're saying that Rarible has a low user experience but a high decentralization, and OpenSea has a low decentralization but a high user experience, and you envision Luxy to be the best of both, have a decentralization and a very good user experience, and be faster and be cheaper, because I see that you're on the Polygon network. Is that about right?
Yes, that's the first network that we're launching on is Polygon, and we're going to be launching to another platform as well called syscoin NEVM. After the initial launch as well. So, and we, also I want to mention,
Gotcha. Okay, so you'll be on syscoin.
Yeah, we're open to other networks as well. So we're always considering different blockchains to utilize. Those are our first two, but we're going to also involve our community in making the decisions on which blockchains to adopt. So that will be interesting going forward to have some user input on that.
Gotcha. Okay, so thinking about the future here, you said you're open to going any place. To me, NFTs are a little bit weird. I'd even say like useless, okay? Because there is no place, in my opinion, to display NFTs. This is something that I've had a long track record of saying, except for one place, and that is the metaverse. Okay, like if you go into like a Decentraland or some like room or something, I could build a building out and like display my NFTs. If I buy art in the real world, I want to be able to display it either in an art gallery or museum or my house. But the metaverse opens up all these opportunities. I'm buying land, I'm building it on this planet or whatever. How do you foresee NFTs going into the metaverse and Luxy playing its part? What's the role here?
Yeah, so no, you're absolutely right. And NFTs do have broad use cases beyond how they've been used today, which is mostly for like sort of quirky artwork and things like that, and some really cool artwork as well, but mostly the quirky stuff. It can be used for anything unique, of course, like land deeds, as you mentioned. An NFT could also be used for like serialized bullion bars that have been assayed, right? Where the metal content, it's serialized. You have an NFT that represents your digital ownership of that in a vault somewhere. So there's that kind of stuff too, right? But where Luxy is mainly focused is for now on the art world and gaming, metaverse, and things like that. So as far as where I see NFTs going with metaverse, it's pretty amazing. I mean, all the potential unicorn use cases of NFTs, I think, are quite wide, and it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. So what we're doing is, trying right now to focus on maybe the metadata of the NFTs so that they'll be able to integrate with things like Metaverse platforms, figuring out the best way to handle those things. But I can totally foresee, for example, several different things like holding a specific NFT will give you privileges to a particular area within the metaverse on a certain platform. Or maybe somebody goes into a retailer and buys like a card, kind of like somebody gets a GameStop gift card or something like that, but it's actually an NFT. Or they buy a physical item, a retail item that's physical, and the manufacturer has associated that serial number with an NFT that will have some functionality in addition to the real world, also in Metaverse. So there's a lot of really cool things that I think can come out of it. That's just a few that just kind of come to the top of my head, but I'm sure there's going to be some amazing unicorn sort of use cases that nobody sees yet. And, Luxy is very interested in staying on the edge of that and making sure that, what we have now with a marketplace that we're getting ready to release, we'll be able to, allow people to make their NFTs useful whenever they create them.
So, yeah, you said that you're releasing a marketplace, and here's my problem with this: is that everyone's got a freaking NFT marketplace. There's so many out there, right? And they're minting, and allows you to do it cheaper, do it faster, or whatever. What is it about Luxy that makes it different from all these other NFT marketplaces? Like you said, Rarible and OpenSea. But things that make it different from them is that the huge, a lot of people are on it. So like those are like two big pros I see from that. Not just the user experience or decentralization, because to be truthful, you get down, user experience until you understand it, but it does grind to a halt adoption. So I get that. But then you have there's like so many of these NFT marketplaces, sprouting up. What makes Luxy different from everything?
Yeah, so I wouldn't discount the user experience entirely as far as being relevant for setting Luxy apart. I think once you experience it, you'll see that it does stand out quite a bit from others. Also, some of the roadmap items that we have are pretty great. So we are planning to give creators the ability to own their own NFT collection smart contract in their own wallet. As opposed to like holding it sort of on a custodial basis within a marketplace smart contract, which is what most of these marketplaces are doing. So creators will have total control over their collection, and they'll be able to, take that to any other open NFT marketplace that they want. Also, there's the community governance aspect where, people will be able to vote on what features that they would like to see. It's very important with Luxy that our marketplace evolve according to what people recognize as being important. So our community will have that ability. And something else I want to mention, which is a really big deal that I think is very important, is our white label program. So that's another thing that we'll be, releasing sometime after the initial release, which basically, for those who don't know, white labeling is where essentially there's a product produced by someone and it isn't branded, or it has very minimal branding. And that producer gives another enterprise or project the right to put their label on it and resell it or what have you, or use it as if it's their own. So what Luxy Marketplace is going to do is give other projects and enterprises the ability to utilize our back end with their own branding and user experience, if that's what they want to do. And that's pretty important because there's so many different potential uses for NFTs as far as music rights and things like that, where music distributors don't really want to be spending time or other types of media enterprises. They don't want to be spending time like reinventing the wheel to make an NFT marketplace thing back end. So they'll be able to use something that we are going to make sure is tried and true, which is the Luxy backend, and they'll be able to, for example, focus more on promotion and reaching a wider audience with their artists that they've signed with to get those NFTs out.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying there you mentioned three things. One, total control of the smart contract. So meaning that creators can create their NFTs like that group on Luxy and then move it into another open source type of platform, NFT platform. The second one is community governance. People can just kind of decide on whether things, they want to focus on that or not for Luxy. And third is a white label program, meaning if I say I'm an artist, I could have my own NFT, marketplace, but not have to create it. I just white label it and put it, use the Luxy backend and then just try to sell my music there. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. So one of the things that stood out to me here as I was looking over your website was that you have a number of partners here. Now, everyone knows on Cowboys, I love when Cowboys ride together, and I love when projects ride together too. And it looks like you got the Syscoin platform. What's your relationship with Syscoin? You mentioned them a couple times.
Yeah, so Luxy itself is planning to launch on Syscoin and EVM, and there's been a lot of communication between them and the Syscoin Foundation as a whole to kind of stay on top of the technology and where it's going, and to prepare for that particular launch. And I'm on the Syscoin Foundation board myself, so I provided a lot of advisory to Luxy.io as far as the development path initially, to help sort of kickstart it on the development road. So that's where we are with Syscoin as far as how we're interacting with them. Yeah.
So you're a big integral part between them launching on Syscoin EVM.
Yes, correct. And yeah. Gotcha. And I mean, I can explain a little bit about Syscoin if you want me to, but
Yeah, I understand. We could do our research, right? I want to know about more Luxy's partners. I see that you're with Blockdesk Ventures. Now, do you have like different venture capitalists, angel investors investing in Luxy? What are they saying? What are they saying? What they see in Luxy? Maybe share with us some of their thoughts on you guys. Obviously, it's positive, but maybe help us. I like seeing people investing in, especially big, angel investors, venture capitalists, because it gives me confidence that, hey, maybe I could invest it's good enough for them. It's good enough for me.
Yeah. So when we put forth Luxy to some of these venture capitalists like Blockdesk Ventures, we showed them a demo. We went through the business model and everything, and they really liked what they saw. They said this, roughly the same thing as you, which is, how is this going to be different initially, from these other marketplaces? It seems like they're a dime a dozen type thing. And by the end of them experiencing the marketplace a little bit for themselves and getting a full understanding of what we were going for and what we had already accomplished, they were pretty sold that it's a great idea. So they have they put their hat into it, and they have obviously some interest in ensuring the success of the project to helping to ensure that. So there's Blockdesk Ventures. We also have some.
How many venture capitalists, investors?
Yeah, so
are in on it.
There's some that I can't really specifically say are investors. Their capacity really more is like they're helping us with marketing, right? So I'll leave it at that. But we also have some influencers like Strong Hands and some other individuals in that are fairly popular within the NFT space, if you will, that that are kind of mentioning Luxy as well, and have quite a bit of interest in it, and they're helping provide advice and guidance for us to move forward. So.
Gotcha. Okay, let's talk about this roadmap here. You said you've got an exciting roadmap. One of the things as I'm looking for as an investor is what's the next big catalyst? What's the next big, what are the next big things to be excited about? Just let me see that price jump up and step up a little bit. Can you describe to me what are the most exciting things that you see in the near future for Luxy that, I mean, I know it's an IDO, we'll get to that, but I want to see what are the things to be excited about in your roadmap in the near future?
Well, anything on Luxy that creates a demand for Luxy token will be a good thing for, I would think for anyone who holds that utility token. So something like the white label program where, these enterprises are going to be paying for that service in the form of Luxy token, obviously will be a great benefit.
Okay.
And yeah. And, we're Luxy token holders will be given the opportunity to participate in a liquidity pool and liquidity mining, I believe, with USDC. So there's that. And, the other things I mentioned about, expanding decentralization going forward, particularly with the collection smart contracts for portability to other open marketplaces if needed, and our focus on standardization as far as making people's NFTs compatible with Metaverse, things of that nature. There's a lot, there's a lot on the roadmap. We've also been talking about a mobile application. The idea has been dropped a few times, in our core meetings. So it's definitely on the radar. So that's something to look forward to maybe in the next 6 months to a year, potentially. But yeah, I mean, right now we're extremely focused on a proper and good launch of what we've developed thus far. And after that, some of these other things that I mentioned will come shortly thereafter.
So, Bradley, NFT is such a wide space, and we touched on this earlier. I want to know your personal opinion here. What can the concept of NFT, what is it that it could most radically shape? What is the most powerful use of NFT? Is it in real estate? Is it in medical? Is it in supply chain? If you were to tell me hey, what is the one, I mean, there's multiple uses of NFTs, right? But what is the single most powerful use of NFTs that could be game changing for any industry in the world?
One industry in particular that I think it could be a game changer for absolutely is mineral rights. And this is something that Luxy doesn't necessarily focus on this right now. But I'm just throwing it out there. Somebody might run with this idea, right? So with, let's say someone owns some family land down in South Louisiana. And this land is so utterly parceled out. There's 15 different owners of, say, 10 acres or something like that. And it's almost impossible for the resources on that property to be tapped in an efficient manner because of all the legal mumbo jumbo and all the hoops that have to be jumped through to get all these people to sign the paperwork and send it back. And now, if these people had these rights, these mineral rights and these property deeds as NFTs, and there was a multi-sig that they could participate in to just all sign off on it digitally from wherever they're at, then it opens up a whole new world for mineral companies, whether that be gas drillers or oil drillers or what have you.
Wow.
So yeah, so there's that. And that whole
I never thought of that. That's very specific. That's very specific right there. I mean, you probably have some kind of expertise
man.
in the background of there. My next question is, can Luxy...
We're early in this, man. I mean,
can Luxy take it on?
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe so. But it's definitely a use case that I've thrown around a few times because, you know, I actually do have a little bit of experience in that, you know, that area of business. But really anything legal, any kind of legal paperwork that's normally very complicated, you know, legal certificates and things like that can be NFTs. And again, you know, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we're very early in the exploration of the use of NFTs. Of course, you know, NFTs have existed since the early days of Bitcoin, you know, arguably because you can say Bitcoin, you know, had like this colored coin capability back in the day that very few people really even knew about or used. But now with smart chains and EVM and things like that, you know, there's a lot more usefulness there, and people are just catching on to NFTs. Of course, you know, the fun stuff with the goofy images and, you know, and that kind of edgy things, you know, that's all fun and great. But I think we're going to see a lot more potential use cases for NFTs. And I think Metaverse is actually going to help with that quite a bit because people are going to start to recognize, right? So they're going to start to recognize when they come out of Metaverse back into the real world, hopefully they do that, right? Then they're going to look around and say, man, I wish I could just do that here. Like, you know, why can't we do this? Or, you know, there's that whole augmented reality aspect of Metaverse as well, you know, so people are going to want to bring their perceptions of value and their experiences of functionality with that value. They're going to want to bring that back into the real world. And I think that's where, you know, we'll really start to understand the implications of NFT.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's talk IDO here. I think you've got me about 95% convinced here. I want to know about the IDO. How does someone, if we want to buy, if we want to participate, how does someone get in on it? I kind of like want to get in on it too. So if you're talking to a cowboy here, how do I get on that thing?
Okay, so we're launching on 3 IDO platforms. There's KSM Starter. That IDO is going to take place on, I think, let's see, November the 29th. We're also going to be on Poly Launcher and on Axion. Axion's a really cool platform, by the way. They all are, but I kind of favor that one. Those are going to take place on November the 30th. Now, exactly how those launch pads are coordinating those launches, as far as like if the pledge periods have already started and things like that, I'm not completely caught up on that, but I think with Axion, the pledge period is like going on right now. So if you want to get in on the Luxy IDO, I would say get on the ball and kind of do that, get involved with that pretty quick, because I think the majority of the Axion offering is already pledged out. Our seed round and our private round, you know, those relative to how those typically go, those sold pretty quick. So I would say hop on to Axion, Poly Launcher, or KSM Starter to see if you can, you know, kind of reserve your Luxy tokens if that's what you want to do. Yeah. So after the IDO, we will be listed on SushiSwap, which is great because that works on Polygon. So you'll still be able to get your Luxy token there if you're unable to participate in the IDO.
Gotcha. Okay, guys, if you have seen enough here, you know, this is something that you've done your own research, you've listened to them. If you want to ask more questions, I'm sure you could jump in their Telegram, their channels or whatever, Twitter, Telegram, all that kind of stuff. Links are in the description. Check out luxy.io. Check them out if it's something that you're interested in. If not, let's move on, okay? But if you are interested, this might be for you. I'm not your financial advisor. This is never financial advice, okay? I'm just someone who's looking for next awesome projects. And to me, my personal just opinion right in front of Bradley, I like the project a lot, honestly. And I like it a lot because of the partners. Because, you know, we've got venture capitalists here who you can talk about. We've got multiple chains that it's going to be on. We've got multiple launch pads or, you know, these places that, you know, you'll get these IDOs. So I'm liking the social proof aspect of it. I really like this white label program. I've never seen that before, but it's something that I'm very interested in. I don't know exactly how best to use that, but I think the time will tell, like, how are you artists, how are people going to use this thing to its maximum potential? So I'm very interested in a lot of these different things. I'd like to get into the IDO. Be sure, rewind, listen to that thing back, or just go on the website to find out any more. Guys, thanks so much for watching this far. Bradley, I got one last question for you, and you're going to wrap it up for us. Out of a sea of cryptos out there, a whole bunch of NFT projects, all this kind of stuff, we only have so much money, right? Why should we invest it in Luxy?
Luxy is very forward thinking. If you think NFTs have future value, or you're an NFT enthusiast in particular, and you need a better way of minting your NFTs or buying them or anything along those lines, I would say definitely look into Luxy. I don't want to tell people to invest in Luxy, and the reason why is because I have legal obligations to abide by, right? So do your due diligence. Don't buy because you like me or you think I'm a nice guy or because the cool dude with the hat told you to or anything like that. But yeah. Just do your research, hop into our Discord or Telegram. Those links are at the bottom of luxy.io, our website, and we're there to answer any questions. We can go over the tokenomics, things that we didn't have enough time to cover here. We can certainly do that.
Guys, I mean, you could do your own research, right? Look at the tokenomics; it's probably right on the page. Look, guys, figure this stuff out. I want you guys to do your own research. One last thing. Just came up to my brain. Hey, why is it called Luxy?
Yeah, man. People ask that a lot, and they also ask about the balloon dog. Okay, so first I'll start with the balloon dog. What inspired us with it is a little goofy, but it's actually kind of cool. It was inspired by Jeff Koons, who's a contemporary artist. His iconic Celebration series involves some sculptures that were going with the balloon dog concept, and this was like back, I think, in like 1993, somewhere around there. So that inspired our logo. His artwork sells for millions of dollars, and a lot of people just love his art. And as far as the name Luxy, we wanted a name that was lighthearted, that kind of reflected what we want the user experience to be. And we thought Luxy was great. Of course, Luxy. The root of that is lux, which in the Latin means light. And so that goes along with the light experience, the lightheartedness of the platform, and, not overburdening users, like, with, forcing them to be a power user to do simple things.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right, Bradley, thanks so much for sharing all this stuff. Guys, do your own research. Don't overthink things. Get into projects that are good, solid, foundational projects that we could get excited about. Guys, lizard brains, okay, gorilla arms and diamond hands. We're exploring the wild west of cryptocurrency, and we might have found a luxurious gem in Luxy here. Do your own research, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.